Hi, welcome to Zgadgetreview. Recently we have talking about Stadia pretty much throwing the towel on the service, closing their first party studios, and pretty much spelling the end for Google Stadia, which is Google's cloud gaming platform.
What? What, Stadia?
I was tempted to say was, because really it's just a matter of time until they shut down that service. Well, somebody feels like they got burned by all the promises that Stadia gave when the service was first launched that never became a reality. And so now there is a class action lawsuit against them. This is from WCCF Tech. Jacqueline Shepard has filed a class action lawsuit in Queen County, New York, which primarily focuses on Google's pre-release promises that Stadia is more powerful than both Xbox One X and PlayStation 4 Pro combined, and will provide ultra-fast, high-quality 4K 60 frames per second resolution gaming. Whoever believed that that was going to be true? I remember when they made the announcement and these are the promises they made, I was like, really? How are you going to pull that off when the Xbox One X and the PS4 are having issues running at 4K 60 frames per second? And you're going to have super powerful computers running in the cloud. And let's not forget that you need to have a great internet connection in order to be able to pull off those speeds. Doom Eternal publisher id Software and Destiny 2 publisher Bungie are also singled out for making similar claims. Both games will end up running at 1080p 60 frames per second or upscale 2160p 30 frames per second on Stadia. The lawsuit, which is over 40 pages long, also accuses Google of misrepresenting the value of Stadia Founders Edition packages amongst other complaints.
Stadia!
It is a lot of lies that Google said when Stadia was first launched. This is a prime example. What this lawsuit is saying is actually true. Because I remember there was also a point where they said that there was going to be zero latency. But they did specify that in order for you to get the zero latency promise, you had to buy their controller. Because their controller was somehow special and will take care of that zero latency for you. Versus if you use, let's say, a Xbox controller like this one, then they couldn't guarantee that zero latency promise. But why? That never made sense to me. I remember hearing that and being like, really? There shouldn't be a difference between this and your Stadia controller. Unless you have discovered something that nobody else has discovered that is going to be in your Stadia controller that nobody else can replicate. Which of course turned out to be BS. The lawsuit, of course, is a class action lawsuit and is aimed to help anyone who fell for Stadia's lies to recuperate their money or get some money in return for the money that they spent. They give an example of a tweet by Phil Harrison as proof that the promises were there that never really came to fruition. Here's the tweet. The tweet is from Zarektor Black Myth Wukong at Mr. Phil Harrison. Well, all games on Google Stadia run at 4K 60. Be good to get some clarity. Now, this tweet was sent out on October 8th, 2019. Phil Harrison responds, yes, all games at launch support 4K. We designed Stadia to enable 4K 60 with appropriate TV and bandwidth. We want all games to play 4K 60, but sometimes for artistic reasons, a game is 4K 30. So Stadia always streams 4K 60 via 2x encode. Of course, as we know, that never really became a reality. Most games were actually upscaled because in order to stream a 4K signal of a game via high-speed internet isn't the easiest thing to do because we don't have the infrastructure for that. And saying that every game for every person is going to run a 4K 60, it's a lie. Because if I don't have that speed on my internet to handle 4K 60, I'm just not going to get 4K 60. Here's a tweet from Doom. Doom Eternal is coming to Stadia 4K with HDR 60 frames per second. This one's from May 19, 2019.
Up to 4K 60 FPS.
This is why sometimes technologies and services don't work and end up failing is because these companies overpromise and they just cannot deliver. And the worst part is that they know that they cannot deliver, but they still go ahead and market it and sell it to people as something that's going to happen. It isn't going to happen. And sadly, there's a lot of people who don't do research. There's a lot of people who don't read, who don't really have the knowledge of how technology works, where they are trusting that what the company is telling them is true. Companies, yes, you have to sell your product. You have to make it seem like it's something that you have to buy, that you cannot live without. That's the whole point of marketing. At the same time, you should manage expectations. Because as game cloud streaming goes, yes, it's supposed to be the future, but if you kill it on arrival, if you lie about what the experience is going to be for people, then people just don't trust the service and people don't adopt it, and then it just dies on the vine. It's really stupid that companies keep doing this because it's not the first time. They keep just making promises that they know most likely you won't be able to get.
Stadia!
Are you a current Stadia subscriber? Were you one of the early adopters of Stadia? Do you think that this class action lawsuit actually makes sense? And do you agree with what the person is suing for? Let me know in the comment section. That's it for me. Go ahead and subscribe. Give us a thumbs up. It really helps the channel. Go ahead and hit that bell so you can be alerted every time we have new videos. And thank you very much for watching.